have another concern about technology and spiritual direction, and that's what I hear from the people that I'm accompanying about how technology has turned from being a gift and an asset to often disabling their abilities to reflect because they're so wired. And I did a study of that for about 3 months, how to be contemplative in a digital world. I got a grant from the Louisville Institute, the Presbyterian Seminary. And I went to interview a lot of contemplatives. And so one of my concerns as a director is their use of it and how it enhances through podcasts like Pray As You Go or websites like Sacred Space, and how it might impede their abilities to reflect. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yes, I do, and I think with especially younger people, that this is a concern that they have to themselves probably come to the place where they realize they need that, because I think they're just so, it's just so everyday for them to have that going all the time. And you know, I think for people like me that have been learning over these last so many years to use technology, I mean, I'm not wired unless I want to be, but I think that for young people, and I don't know how to, you know, how we do that, education.
Well, I'm a wired nun, probably the most wired you'll meet. But I noticed in the study of that with technology and people's spiritual growth that two things that really helped them, and that I learned in the research, was there was a Zen sickness in China. The monks, they were so immobile from the waist down for hours meditating, and they started getting irritable and burnout, and they developed an exercise for them that helped them to kind of become whole again, and it was called Tai Chi.
Okay.
And so they suggest for people that are caught up in technology that Tai Chi and walking in nature or hiking or gardening, being outside where we're unhooked, that those are the two balancing factors. Because one of my images for spiritual direction and how we stay connected with our directees is there's this energy field all around us here in the room. I mean, there's wireless signals going through here, and I think what a wonderful image for how we're connected through prayer and just connected in the universe with those that you say you care so much about, and I do too. The people we accompany are with us 24/7 in a way. They're in our prayer lives, they're in our thoughts, they're in our concerns and our hearts, and I think, you know, we can't always see all of that connectedness in the fields of energy, but it's real.
I think that that has become much more real to me since I've had directees that are all over like that, is that I really think about when I pray for them and when I hold them in my contemplative prayer, that I really have to believe that that is having an effect, that that energy, it's that butterfly image, that that energy is going to them and that it's making a difference for them. And an image that I've had is, have you been to Epcot Center and gone through that ball where all the electricity and lights all over? And I've thought of that as the connection that we have with our directees all over in that way. And I think, you know, internet's here to stay, technology's here to stay. It's just learning how we can use it to our benefit and how it can become a spiritual tool.
I think the challenge is going to be how to use it well, like everything else. And I love the image too of energy, like you mentioned Epcot Center, but energy and connection. And we're all about connection in this spiritual direction enterprise. We're about connection, and so is the digital world. Technology enhances our ability to be connected. And like Judy Canotto in her book Field of Compassion, she talks about these fields of energy, and when one act of compassion, if we just do one act of compassion, it strengthens the field of compassion in the world. So I think as spiritual directors, one act of real loving care strengthens the whole field in the world of loving care, or one act of listening heart, or whatever way we connect with them through email or Skype or cell phone or even text messaging.
Oh yes.
Sometimes if people are desperate, you know, and I've had those urgent kind of little text for prayer and help, and just a mantra or something, because texting is also very accessible, more so than email. 'Cause sometimes people can't get onto email in some countries, but texting seems like it's the world over.
Yeah, it is.
I found too in doing discernment with young adults, and I did a lot of discernment ministry for about 22 years, that they were more apt to disclose information through email with ease, more so than if they were face-to-face.
Is that right?
Especially with young adults. So I found the disclosure level faster and higher and richer at the onset. And in fact, it quite happened by accident, because I didn't set out to do spiritual direction by email. But somebody might have read an article I wrote, like one time it was Indonesia, another time it was Poland, and I got into an internet conversation with a young man who was studying to be a priest in Poland, not because he wanted to come to the United States, but he was asking some deep questions, and I got to meet him like 8 years afterwards in Poland when I went. But I found young adults tended to be more readily at ease about self-disclosure and ask the questions they might not want to ask initially. So I agree with you. I resonate with that. And also I resonate with your sense of time to reflect. Because even though I prefer flesh and blood people, and if I had a choice between a phone conversation and in person, which happened last week, I'd rather see the person in flesh. But then I can see the assets and the gifts of using email and Skype, and if crisis comes, telephone, the sound of a human voice. I think we have a lot of tools at our service for that.
I do too, and I hadn't thought about how quickly the disclosure comes when you're writing, but it's true. When you ask, you know, why are you coming for spiritual direction at this time? It's all there, and maybe it's because they don't see you, or they don't have to, or they're not, you know, it's a different kind of thing. They have it right out there, what they are coming for.
And especially introverts, because we might ask, why are you coming to spiritual direction? Or who is God for you right now? And introverts need to go within and have time to process. So that would work well with email. The only piece I could see lacking there is, you know, there are moments in the spiritual direction accompaniment where you just let the silence hang.
Yes.
And just wait until something else emerges. And I think, I don't know, maybe that does work in a reflective journaling style of communication.
You wouldn't probably notice it because you don't hear it, but you know, I know for me, I have a lot of those.